seeing this, perhaps if we go deeper and deeper in the source, the root of all our problems, the root of our problems is patriarchal mentality. We are at the end of 5,000 years of patriarchal mentality. We are at the very end, and that is why it is so violent, so aggressive, so suicidal. And then we are trying to struggle against this patriarchal obsession. One way, one expression of the patriarchy, it is this element of patriarchy implies this arrogance of the industrial man, of the modern man, saying, I can play God. I can win over death. I will fight it and win that specific battle. I can do everything. Everything is possible for me. And that peculiar arrogance for us is clearly patriarchal. I want to talk more about this question of patriarchy. What we are trying to do to escape from patriarchy. It is not about gender equality. It is not about that kind of things. It's not conventional feminism. It's something else. But before I discuss that, I want to share with you the story of my hepatitis. I don't want to include in our conversation my diabetes because I don't have the documents here, and then people don't believe that. Because of an accident, literally because of an accident of my partner, I was in Houston, in the hospital. It was the time of the fashion of the checkups, and they forced me every day for my checkup. And finally, I was weak enough to accept the checkup, and they performed the checkup, and they said, oh God, you have a terrible diabetes. You need immediately insulin. You cannot even an injection. You cannot wait for pills or whatever. You have a very serious, I don't remember the figure, it's 400 or something like that. And then I came back to Mexico, and the doctor in Mexico, the same analysis, the glucose curve, etc. You have a terrible diabetes. Then, for a series of reasons, I started to read about diabetes. I read 27 books, including one Soviet book about diabetes, every kind of books to discover. My main conclusion was that the medical profession did not know what diabetes is, that they were dealing with a symptom but not with the root of diabetes. And then, after a long story, I want to use our time for hepatitis more than diabetes. After a long story, I invented a very specific diet, applied this horrible diet, really horrible diet, for 5 years with a series of changes in my interaction with the world. And in the last 25 years, no tests discovers glucose in my blood, meaning apparently I don't have diabetes. But they say that it's not possible, but I have my analysis, original analysis, and the new analysis, and glucose is not there. With hepatitis, more or less 7 years ago, 8 years ago, my son came here, and then he got hepatitis A. In Oaxaca, it is epidemic. You can get hepatitis A very easily in many restaurants and different places. And then he got it. And then I was very close to him. I have a cousin that we call him the vampire because he has a lab for tests, and then all the time he's taking blood from us to see if something is happening with us. And then I went with him and said, well, my son got this, I have been very close to him, eating with him, etc. I want to know if I got it to see what I should do. And the next day he told me, no, you don't have hepatitis A, but you have hepatitis C. Then for the first time I tried Google, because before I was afraid of Google, and Google gave me a horrible picture. More than 100 million people with hepatitis C. I see statistics that is really something to be afraid of. The people with hepatitis C commit suicide 17 times more than the rest of the people, than the average guys. And I understood very well why. Because you are no longer capable of doing your life. You cannot really, all your physical and mental faculties are going down. depression is part of the disease. And then if you are depressed and you cannot live your life, and you have some kind of psychological instability, it will do better. And the doctors, my cousin put me in contact with 2 experts in hepatitis, and both of them saying, oh God, you need immediate treatment. You are in a pre-cirrhotic state, and then comes cirrhosis, and then after cirrhosis you have liver cancer. You need to have treatment immediately. And then in Google, I discovered that the FDA says that the treatment that is like in cancer is chemotherapy for hepatitis C, is basically effective for more or less 50% of the cases, depending on age, meaning at my age, the possibilities of improvement were next to 0. Before this news, I was assuming that my problem was just old age. I was just 70, and then I said, well, that is it. When you are old, then your physical and mental faculties are going down and down. I am going down and down. That is it. Just to illustrate my point, my problem in that time, I have a column in a newspaper in Mexico, and when I have the idea of what I am going to write, usually I write my column no more than 2 hours. Between 1 or 2 hours I have my column. 750 words for the column. When I had my hepatitis C, I was in front of the computer with a very clear idea of what I wanted, and one day, and 2 days, and the volume was not coming. My mind was not producing ideas, words. My activities, my daily activities were really, I was in a process, in a very evident process of decadence. Finally, I went with a friend that is a woman. It's for me basically a healer, and I came with all my package of 6 million viruses, etc., all the elements. And then she put everything in the side, and she said, of course you have a lot of viruses, because they are your allies. You need them now, and they will be with you all the time that you need them. What we need to discover is why your body took the decision of getting sick in the liver. That is the problem. That is what we really need to discover. Then she started to pose a lot of peculiar questions, strange questions for me, going around and around, and finally she said that she discovered the whole thing. When my first daughter did one of the very stupid, horrible things that the kids do, I was very angry. I reacted in a horrible way. I really misbehaved with my daughter, and that night I could not sleep because I was feeling very guilty of my behavior. Then I said, never again I will talk with my daughter that way. If she does again all the things that the kids do, then I will control myself, and then the next day, full of serenity, I will talk with her, I will explain to her why that was wrong, etc., etc. And I did that with my daughter, and then I did the same with my partner, and then I did the same in my office, I did the same in my political activities. That became a trait of character. Then, according with my killer, my liver told me, basta, enough. I cannot take that any longer. Because she said, you are serene the next day, because your liver worked the whole night. Because that is one of the functions of the liver, to process bad emotions. Then, after doing your whole life this activity, your liver is telling you cannot take this any longer. Then, what is the main prescription of the killer? Whenever you are angry, and not just real anger, when someone is irritating, you need to express it. And because I am learning this at my old age, I don't know how to do that in a beautiful way. And then at one moment we are talking like this, what is happening? I am reacting in a very ugly way. Of course I am presenting my apologies, I am saying, sorry, It's a medical prescription, it's odd, but it happens, but I am stressing myself. The second prescription was also looked very stupid. So because you need to obey your body, and the body is telling you to stop. No matter if you had a very important report, something to do for the next day, your column, whatever, if the body is telling you to stop immediately. And because you cannot stop the machine, you need to run some very stupid American comedies. The most stupid, not Bergman, not Woody Allen, really very stupid comedies, which you cannot think with them. And then whenever you are tired and your body says to stop, then you put the film and then you cannot think. And what happened, I discovered that it is the emotions are not only anger, but all the emotions are now in the surface. Then suddenly I was seeing one of these stupid movies, crying like mad. And that was expressing myself. That was really liberating. Of course, I have some kind of diet. I try to reduce some things and to avoid some things. And it is a very moderate diet. It is not really any kind of sacrifice. It is a kind of diet that everybody should have. It's not anything special. It is a decent diet. And my healer and I think that by the end of this year, that is perhaps 2 months, or at the beginning of the next year, the hepatitis should have gone. She recommended to go with another doctor, Halpat, that is a friend of her, because there is always the danger of liver cancer, and then you need to check every 6 months. They explained it to me that if you discover the cancer in the liver during the first 6 months, it's very easy, even with laser, etc., to deal with it, because it is the liver can regenerate itself. And then it was important to check every 6 months the situation, and then I have been with discipline. Every 6 months I go with this doctor and I produce a lot of tests, and I have seen the tests improving every 6 months. I have still some marginal inflammation, but very, very